Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gym Owners Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Stone. Over there's John Fairbanks. How are we doing, John?
I'm doing wonderful, Tyler. It's wonderful to see you
I
again.
know. We are back. I've been back. It's been, I mean, you heard us last week, but you had a couple weeks without us, I think. So I'm happy to be back from my travels across the pond. Spent a couple weeks over in the Netherlands bouncing around, and we'll get into some of that stuff here. I want to, fuck it, we'll just jump right into the stuff John and I were talking about beforehand. John, we were just talking about this book that you had seen. This is essentially the name of the book was, what's it called? Durable Trades. It's a bit gets a bit into some weeds that we don't give a shit about necessarily. So we're here to save you a lot of the BS. But there are one of the things they talked about in this book is there's like skills, crafts, and trades that like really stand the test of time, and they can give you autonomy, and they really are going to be around forever. And but one of the things he said, what was the stat on how many times people change careers in their lifetime, and what the duration of those careers is traditionally?
Yeah, so we said the average American that the what he did was the average American is going to change careers, like full careers, on average 7 times over their lifetime, right? And so based off of that math, he broke it down to people are going to change jobs about every 5 years,
Mhm.
5 to 7 years, and and then he coupled it with the fact that it's on average, most people believe that the idea to become really proficient at what you want to do, whatever career path you've chosen, it takes about 5 years of
Yeah.
really working at that thing and perfecting. I've I've had so many different jobs over the years, and I change about every three. I found like this last iteration of where I work in sales, um, is I've been there now for 7 years, but so that probably puts me at like an average of like 6 years or whatever. But it was I always felt like your first year that you start a job, you literally, I always was like, you say yes to fucking everything. You just keep your head above water and you're just treading water that whole first year. And then your second year, you know how to keep your head above water, but you're still kind of playing checkers a little bit. And it isn't until you get to your third year that now you kind of like get a much more solid lay of the land. And I always equate it to like now you're learning how to play chess. And by the time you kind of get to that fifth year, now you're future casting strategy, right? You're looking like way into the future. Now you have the ability to really play. So definitely in my own experience, what he has kind of laid out as fundamental statistics is definitely what I've experienced. But what's fucked up is that if it takes 5 years to be really, really good at what you do, and kind of at that point now it's whatever that rule is of like um you can work and work and work and work and you see like minimal gains and there's that point of exit velocity
Yeah.
where it's like boom, it just explodes. And that's kind of where he's saying, which is like it takes you 5 years to get to the point where you are on the precipice of exploding.
Even when you're just capable,
Right.
you're just
And,
capable enough of winning this game. Yeah.
and then people and then you change jobs, you bail out
Mhm.
and you go to something else and you start all over.
Yeah. And I think the lesson that story is trying to tell is the opposite of the one I'm going to extract from this, right? The lesson it's trying to tell you is stick with it because the getting gets good, it gets worth it, and all these things. But for those of you right now that are listening that are currently gym owners or are currently personal trainers or are fitness enthusiasts that are entertaining the idea of becoming a gym owner or taking a step and making this your career, turning your passion into a profession, um, likely you're at that 4 to 5 year mark in your other thing, in the thing that's been feeding you, or you're beyond that point where you've realized you now know what this job, whatever this job you're doing is, you know what this career is, you know all the ins and outs of it. You're capable of it. You're good at it, I fucking hope. And usually what happens is people go, is this it?
Yeah, do I hate
This
this?
isn't enough. And maybe you may not even be peaked earning wise, but you're doing much better than you were in the beginning. And it just isn't it. And I'm speaking, obviously, I'm just projecting because that's exactly what happened to me when I pivoted to leaving a 12-year long career as a technician and going and opening a gym in a town with essentially nobody interested in fitness. But the thing that I learned is I got to that point and I was like, well, I'm making good money. I fought to have some of my time back. So I have this good balance in my time and I can still work out and have time with my family. And I had the good balance. I wasn't in a bad, miserable situation with the day job or the regular career. I just knew that the only way then for me to go further ahead was for me to take on a bunch of like I was going to have to essentially open my own business or find a way to get involved in my boss's exit strategies so that I could have ownership in that one. And I realized that doing what I was doing was not going to be enough. You know what I'm saying? For me to earn, whether to just live the dream or whatever that is. And I didn't particularly like the work that much. Sometimes it just takes 5 years. They pay you to do something for you to go. And in this case, it was 12 years, 12 years of gradually increased earnings for you to realize, oh, well, even if this money got way better, I don't like doing this. Like the money's good. And it's not that I hate it. It's that this isn't my thing. And so I do think that has more to do with why people pivot to something else than like, oh, we're right on the brink of the reward. And I think maybe they know. They go, yeah, I can go this way. There's no passion in it for me. I don't want it. And they find something else. And I think that's very, very, very common. And I think that's okay. I think that's how we find our thing. And I think the goal of everybody John, you got 3 boys. I got a son and a daughter, both nearly adults now. And one's an adult, one's nearly an adult. The goal you have as a parent to say, obviously I don't want them to want financially. Like it would be great for whatever they choose, a career path, to make sure they're not hungry and poor and dealing with a lot of the stuff that financially I had to deal with when I was their age, right?
Mhm.
So hopefully they find a way they can earn and be safe and have security. As a parent, you hope for security a lot. The secondary goal beyond financial security is really being happy that I would like for all of my kids and everybody listening to this, that the way you make your money can be the thing that you like doing. like
Right.
like that I think that is like that should be every person's goal for there's no problem if somebody wants to be I don't even fucking know, John. You want to I'm talking about jobs I don't know anything about. You want to be a computer programmer? Cool. Are you passionate about it? Maybe not. Maybe it just pays really good and like so good. You can do it. There's always a place for that stuff, a job that's a job. I don't want my kid to have to do a job he doesn't want to do. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a kid get up and go every morning to a job that he likes, that he has autonomy over, he has ownership of it, that also pays well, to make your living actually doing the things you want to do, to be professionally yourself, to be professionally passionate. I think that's the fucking real dream. This is what professional athletes are doing.
Right.
God, I get to play the game and I make $50 million on my contract. Like that's why people get all jealous and fucking dumb about professional sports contracts. But it's just haterism. It's like, oh, that guy gets to live the absolute fucking goddamn dream. And that's the thing that I kind of think that is really drives behind a lot of that drop off after 5 years. People pivot on average just because they go, this is not the thing I love. I don't love this. And it's someone choosing to, maybe they don't know what they love next, but they know that this isn't it. It's like getting out of a marriage without having a side piece queued up. You know what I'm saying? You're like, I just got to get out of this. This isn't the thing. This isn't forever. And once you know something's not forever, you go, I got to pull a plug on this. And I think that happens with people's careers. And that's how people end up in your guys' situation, if you're listening, on the precipice of opening a gym or thinking about it, or thinking about getting into trying to attach your financial successes or failures from this thing that you're passionate to. And it's a complicated decision. And it's important that you be equipped to actually do it. Hopefully, the best thing that I recommend that people do is, while you're still in the situation, developing your skills within some other system, whether it's another gym or another job, or maybe you're a fucking nurse or a car salesman or whatever. Like, there are skills that you can learn and concepts that you can extract from those gigs that will apply 100% into this if you decide to make a pivot into the fitness space. That's the most valuable things that I have brought to most of the businesses that we consult for, John.
Mm-hmm.
Don't come from the fitness industry. Same with you, right? All of our marketing, they don't come from the fitness industry. Comes from things we've learned doing these other things. And so don't, just because you don't like a thing, figure out what lessons can I pull out of this. I think that's super, super important.
Well, and I think because if you take that mindset, and the way I could say is like, you keep your eye on the prize, where it's like, I want to do the fitness thing. I'm assuming, right? You're listening to this, you want to do the fitness thing, because this is exactly what we've done. And the phrase, because we've Tyler, you and I have helped a number of coaches and gym owners over the years make that transition where this is a part, that the fitness gig is a part-time gig, and the mentality, and the phrase we use all the time is allow someone else to pay you to learn.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where you get to learn and you get to get paid and you get to test these things. And that is where,
Feel time, supplies, whatever you can from your
right.
your
But it
current
kind
job.
of is,
But it
right?
really is. It really is, honestly. I spent all of my windshield time hours with podcasts in my ears, listening to podcasts about fitness, about coaching, about training, about the business of fitness, about marketing. I will not say that I have anything approaching a bachelor's degree in those things because I don't, right? But in the context of the fitness industry, with the hours of content that I've consumed, like literally like active listening, note taking, fucking strategizing, putting it into the context of what I wanted to do with my business. That is, I at least got one of those 2-year degrees because I spent 4 fucking years like really busting ass, like consuming everything that I possibly could. And that's almost what inspired me to make that leap. And so we're happy here in the position that we sit, hopefully to help you guys and be an asset to you guys throughout this decision making process and this transition.
Now, before we move forward, the one thing, everything we've been hitting on is like an internal driver. We're internally, maybe I don't like this, or maybe I do want to pivot and I want to change. What fueled the author that wrote Durable Trades was he had an external situation. It was the downturn of 2008 and 2009 to where everybody was getting fired. So he had worked his way up to this thing, had gotten to a level of proficiency and was like, oh shit. Like I'm not the master of taking care of my family, right? He's got kids, he has a wife, he has bills he's got to pay. And it didn't matter how good he was at the gig, he was fucked either way.
Yeah.
And all of you, as long as you are been alive since 2020, you all have had that moment. 2020 presented to everybody globally a moment where you either said, oh fuck, I am not, what was it? I was deemed not
Non-essential.
non-essential, right? I
Honestly.
was deemed non-essential
Yeah.
or whatever. And it has caused maybe that quiet voice in the back of your head to become a little bit louder. That itch gets a little bit stronger to where it's like, I want to have a plan. I want to have a plan to get out of this thing.
Sometimes too in larger business structures is what I see. I was just talking to a person in a very corporate world about this the other day, is that when a business needs to trim a lot of fat, someone that's been on the payroll for a really long time is the fattest one as far as that goes. And very often they do the least. They have a lot of things sequestered off in their job that makes them most of these jobs like that I'm describing here. And he admitted this was like he could do everything that he does in less than 2 hours a day. He's there for 8. It's a pretty good salary too. And the guy above him, it's kind of similar situation. But like if really cuts are coming, like you don't want to make a bunch of trims at the bottom. Yes, if it's literally on the labor side, just labor, yes. But you're more likely better off replacing somebody who has been in a position for 10 years, someone who's hungry and underpaid and new and is a go-getter and is going to go hard and has that new ambition to get things done early on, and not the guy that has everything kind of hidden away. Like it's always hilarious to me when people leave jobs and then the boss finds out how little the person really fucking did.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty alarming. It's one of the reasons that I like took a long time trying to leave that other job. I was like, fuck, I don't want these guys to figure out how sweet I got it. Cause like I can get all this done in 3 calls a day, you know, and I can earn enough. But like, boy, I'm sure sitting around just doing nothing a lot of the time. Like it was it's just the way that those things go. So you can just get cut even if you're in those positions. It doesn't matter. If you're not steering your own ship, somebody else is in charge of where it goes. And I think that's for me, that's as a constant anti-authority guy. Like I could never work for somebody for the like duration of, I couldn't accept that that's what it's going to be for the rest of my life, no matter who it is. I don't believe that to be a thing that I'm capable of. So, yeah, anyway, that was our kind of like wherever you're at in your career stuff. The other thing, the current thing, like that's the lay of the land, I guess, or not. But let's move on to the next stuff, John. Guys, I got back from Europe. I was in the Netherlands and I was talking to friends of mine. I don't know if you guys know this. We lived in Austria for a couple years and we lived in the Netherlands for about a year. And as I was talking to a friend of mine about, you know, he was asking about, oh, would you move back here or anything like that? And So yeah, maybe, but the visa stuff fucking sucks. I don't. We'll just. This is not going to be like all business strategy for you guys. We're just going to have a kind of like a conversation here, so you know. We're tired of us telling you actionable steps.
Prepare yourselves.
Yeah, prepare yourselves. Um, but you know that process of getting over there was hard. And so he's like, well, how would you? What would you do? So well, I'd have to have my online remote coaching stuff and my consulting stuff would end up having to carry a lot of that weight. I'd have to do a lot of that remotely. I would still need some work on the ground because I still make money coaching in person. I also like coaching in person, right? But we started kind of going deeper into what that meant. And it was like, what I prefer to coach isn't performance. It's not even strength necessarily. I use strength as a tool. Like the things that the activities we are doing for fitness are just a thing that we're picking. You know, the thing we're working towards that I think is important. It always boils back to what my kind of mission is, which is to help people lose weight who are in the same position that I was in before I started getting involved in fitness. Fat, lost, not doing anything, truly at a starting point of zero because I was not paying attention to how I ate. I'm probably starting way in the negative, to be honest with you. Not exercising, eating like shit, blinders onto all of it, very naive, very just not no understanding of what needed to be done and really not even trying, right? Just not trying.
But that is the American story, Tyler. Like it's because my wife has recently went back to work to be able to do stuff as the kids get older, and so she is with normies for 6 hours a day, and they have lunch together every day. And she's like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to figure out like how to bring my own food because I don't want to be rude, but at the same time, like what they're consuming, what they're eating, like just these 12 people that have worked together forever. And she's coming in, she's just like, I don't know how all of them don't have diabetes.
Yeah.
She's like, just the shit that they're eating. And they probably do, right? Like it's like everybody is gonna be something, but it's like it has floored her because her normal is our normal in our house, which is apparently, and guess what? If you're listening to this, it's not you're not fucking normal either. Like if you're talking about the average American, that American story, it's exactly what you just described, Tyler. It's like there's no thought. The idea that we're all over here being like, hey, we think the government's poisoning the fucking food. Like we think it's they're not even hearing that.
No.
Like that's not even on their radar that hey, that's a thing. Like they're still margarine is okay.
Yeah.
Like it's so wildly different.
And obviously the first thing I always noticed every time I go overseas, people just aren't fat, man. I don't know what to say. You know, it's always eye-opening to me. It's inspiring, but you have to start to see some of the mechanisms at play here too, is that you know, they have like almost no opioid addiction at all. And this is a overall European thing, but also very, very, very Dutch, is that they don't prescribe pain medication for fucking anything. It's literally a running joke to 2 paracetamol and sleep, 2 paracetamol and rest, which is like Tylenol. That is what they will give you for fucking everything. You will not get pain medication. My son got
Did he rip his leg off?
heel.
Yeah.
The entire heel below it was ripped off of his foot when we were there. And he was maybe like, how old would he have been then? 11?
Yeah, 10 or 11.
12. Like, and I mean, no pain. They like sprayed some numbing stuff on it while they stitched him up and put him. And I mean, but I mean, nothing, dude. And that's pretty common, I guess, from everybody I know, that they will never give you pain medication, almost never. It's not a thing. And here people like, I know it's better now than it used to be. Mm-hmm. Like pharma's got a pretty big fucking hole. What was one of the stats? Was it you and I shared this, or you had shared it? That was like America accounts for like 70% of pharma's profits, right? Or is it 90? 70% of global pharma's profits. But our average life expectancy, we rank like 60th in like overall health and life expectancy. So this is not the cure. This is the illness. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think is very interesting in that aspect. But when we start going to thought exercise, I was going through with my friend, was like, fuck, man, I couldn't be listening. Like weight loss we beat up this subject, John, you and I, a lot in the States, is that like this is the most important mission that a gym can have, I believe. And if you're a gym that is struggling to make money or you're struggling to get new clients, getting good at helping people lose weight is your most direct pathway to financial success, because there are more people who want to and need to lose weight in this country than there are not.
Mhm.
Right. And that doesn't mean, and I always, trip made me kind of want to make sure to walk that back. That does not mean that if you're a powerlifting gym that you have no purpose, or that if you're a fucking hot hit facility that it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? That like that you are just offering a more narrow segment of fitness in somebody's lifetime fitness journey, and that's okay that you offer that, because once a population is healthy,
It's the
or
next step.
while that's the next step, is they'll specialize a little bit and then they'll pivot, just like we talked about before. Their the attention span or their interest will change, and it's important that they have things. So when they leave one gym, if you stop doing CrossFit because you had a shitty coach or shitty programming and you hurt your shoulder and fucking your back hurts and all this other stuff, that doesn't, the worst thing that could do for you is to make you stop exercising, right? And so it's important that these other opportunities exist. I just prefer a more, don't even like the word holistic. That probably is the term. I like a more complete fitness offering, if that makes sense. Not holistic, but like complete, meaning the formula for having the greatest impact on weight loss in your community is most likely a global gym, because you can still also have people doing power stuff and doing bodybuilding stuff who are fit, while you're offering services and approachable type of vibe into the facility for normal new people to get in. And you can have your cake and eat it too. You can't be the most extreme likely in any of the power bodybuilding stuff, but you can cover a lot more space within the average person's lifetime fitness journey. And for weight loss people that need to lose weight, that there's so much potential in their lifetime fitness journey. If you're trying to sell fitness to people who already fitness, so it's narrow. They're going to go and do some hot yoga at place one, and maybe they'll do a Pilates class at place two, and they likely don't even have a personal trainer. They'll maybe do a CrossFit class. Like, even if they bounce around to a few places or do a few different things concurrently, right? They still don't have as much ground to cover, right? Versus somebody who is just getting started. They're a fucking open book, man. Get 5 years with this person. If you really do a good enough job, kind of can move them around and offer different types of things for them. I got guys in my personal training alone who, I have a guy, perfect example, guy who lost a bunch of weight this summer. Now he's down almost 70 pounds, 60, 70 pounds, killing it. Diet, workouts. After the first run of workouts, I had him just run the same thing again, didn't charge him. I said, just do that exact same program. He's killing it. Second time around, I said, you want to do something different? I gave him real good deal on like a more of a kind of a walked back, less challenging version of, here's some workouts you could do, like give me some feedback on them. So he's been doing those for a little bit, and now it's bulking time.
Right.
Bulking time. He's down to 160 pounds. So perfect. Well, guess what he's buying now? Nutrition coaching, right? More in-person personal training.
Mm-hmm.
He's bringing in one of his friends who they're going to kind of do it together. And like that is the fucking real value here. Is I could have got him a gym membership, and man, I think this person would have been successful, just not at the pace that he is. You know what it was? But he would have been lost. He didn't know how to do anything, didn't know how to move, had no confidence in the gym, and he would have just been eating less and been successful, kind of. But man, I want this. He's going to be a machine by next year, right? But that's the real goal. Then he can explore these, now that he has new physical capabilities and new energy levels and a new outlook on everything. That person is going to be interested in any other new fitness thing, because it's all shit he could never do. You know what I mean? Honestly, my goal kind of in the springtime and summer is to get like it's just somebody else's brand. I think if you look them up on Instagram, I just love the branding called Slow Dad's Running Club.
Sure.
I love that branding. I think it rocks. So I think I'm literally just going to have like a slow dudes running club here. That's just local. If I'm out fucking running, like fuck out, you can do it. So that's kind of my goal in the springtime. This guy'd be on board with that for sure. Probably hates running too, but I guarantee he would do it just because it's something he can do now with his new body that's capable. And I think that is why John and I keep beating that up for those of you that are There's so many gyms that struggle to get new clients. So many gyms that struggle to get upsells or to keep or retain clients or to get higher levels of service out of people that you're picking the wrong people sometimes, or you're directing your services towards the wrong people. So this is just the most ripe market. It's the bluest ocean still, with all the attention placed on it. It still is hands down. Weight loss in the United States is your fucking gold mine. I don't understand. I get a gym that once has a greater purpose and you don't care about the people and you just want to have your fitness space where people can lift or get strong or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't fucking complain to me that you can't get new members and that you're struggling financially because you're offering a service that nobody wants. And let's be real about this. There's nothing wrong with a strongman gym or an extreme gym. But usually there's some prerequisites that have to happen in somebody's life in order for them to be interested in that. Most of it means they have to probably already kind of be actively training to even know how to do any of that stuff or be in the social circle of people that do. And that's fucking a very, very, very narrow subset of the population here.
And just like you've described everything that I was hearing you say, Tyler, it's the order of the thing matters so much for the clients that you work with. As a personal trainer and as a gym owner, what you put in front of people at what time and at what stage of their fitness journey, development, lifetime fitness journey, everything we talk about, that is what literally leads to lowering your attrition, increasing your retention, and keeping somebody with you, building that trust initially. And it is, when I was in the educational sphere, we called it teaching the whole child, right? Whole child education, which is this idea where not every kid is destined to go to college. Not every kid is going to go fit in this nice, neat STEM box of science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Like, you have to look at that whole kid of what are they capable of, and then what can you put them on? What paths can you put them on to make them as successful as they can? And you got to treat it. And why the educational system is so fucking broken in the United States is that it is a one size fits all approach.
Mhm.
And right now, bring it back to fitness. It's, if you are coaching people one size fits all, it will work, but you'll break a bunch of other people and then a bunch of other, and it will work for only a certain percentage of your people that actually were at that moment. They were ready and you gave them that one path. And guess what? It worked for everybody that was ready for that one path. And what you do, everything we talk about of these options and choices and putting it in front of people is, instead of it being, I'm going to choose the path for you, you put it on them and they get to choose. They say, hey, this is the path I think. And then you allow yourself to be the professional and say, yes, absolutely. Or yes, but we need to have this. I'm going to make sure that this is actually in front of you instead of you avoiding it. And that's how, exactly what you're describing, is the ability now to help people long term, and all these positive things come with it.
When the thing we had talked about over there then was, what am I going to do? The plan
Yeah,
would
keto.
have to be for me to get skinny fat dads jacked. It would have to truly be muscle building. And I don't know if you've seen a lot of things that's about, you've been there a couple times, right? So you and I have been there. And while there's plenty of like kind of skinny fat guys that are soft and they bike a lot and they run, that's their version of exercise. They are exercise. They're not necessarily fit. They don't eat a lot either. And but I don't even know that there's that much interest in that.
Right.
That's the reality of that. Is I would describe that as such a secondary, third, fourth, fifth need down the road in interest for some of those people. And that is why in places like that where people are already healthy, generally healthy, what you are selling then is truly just an experience and something to do. You're selling exercise and an experience in exercise. And that's okay. There's value in it and people will pay for it because they do value exercise. But I don't view the potential of any of the work that I would do in that setting, unless I literally only seek expats, which would kind of fucking rock. Be like, hey, are you an American? Are you tired of these Dutch people being kind of rude and the restaurant service suck? I could list all the things that suck about being an expat there. Like, have you ever had terrible service every single place you go because they don't want you there? Not because you're an expat. They don't like doing their job. I've been, John, I went to fucking so many bars. It's kind of what we do while we're there. And you'll go there in the afternoon, there's nobody there, and you sit there, and somebody will come out with practically an eye roll. You order 2 drinks, and they bring you drinks that are like literally like 6-ounce glasses of tap beer.
Mhm.
And then he's not going to come back for 45 minutes. And I've done this before. I ask for a big one, and they tell me, no, it's the biggest we got. It's like, okay, can you bring me 3? Or can you just fucking come back sooner? Like, I just don't know what to say. They're bringing me bite-sized drinks. It's nuts. But that's a thing that, like, I think a lot of Americans would understand. There are fat people there. We've seen them. I've seen them. But they're very few and far between, and they stick out like a sore thumb. And so it's when John and I talk about that weight loss is, I think, the thing and that we need to get good at. That's why we always beat up nutrition coaching. It is because it's the greatest need here in the States. And you can live in places that it's not the case, right? We talked to DJ, and he's in San Diego, California.
Yeah.
It's a much fitter percentage of the population there than it is where you and I live. But still a lot of baddies. Still a lot of them. You can make plenty of money in weight loss every single place in the United States, no matter who you are and where you are. And the reason I still lean into that subject is because it is truly valuable. Taking a skinny fat dad and getting him a little bit jacked, it kind of reminds me of taking a nearly professional athlete and getting them 5% better, right? It's like, okay. But taking any person who will have all of these psychological, mental health issues that come along with being overweight, like for life, kind of, whether for long term or having just got to this, like, that's such an impact on everything in your life that getting a person from fat to fit is an absolute, you're a goddamn miracle worker. Not miracle because it wasn't possible, because it's powerful. It's incredible. It's inspiring. I describe these types of things as miracles because I believe that when you take somebody from like fat, overweight, depressed, sad, to
Sick.
fit, healthy, confident, like when you take somebody through that, the miracle in that is that there's a traditional law that says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, right? Except one person just using a few rules of thermodynamics and a little bit of motivation and conversation and talk and effort can lose the weight. But then what does that do to themselves and their family and everyone else in their life, everyone else in their world? Every person who sees it when I post these before and after photos, who gets inspired and gets riled up, and they go to the gym and they change the way they shop and they reach out to me, that is energy. It's powerful. And that changes lives. And that's truly why I view changing someone's life with weight loss is an absolute miracle. Not because it's impossible, but because it creates energy. It creates momentum outside of this person's life. And it goes and it runs and runs and runs and runs on forever. Before I started, there was a handful of before and after things and things that other people had done that I'm just seeing or hearing about, and was so inspiring that made me believe that it was possible. Right. And that is whether it's hokey or whatever, I think that is why that impact is so much more powerful than getting somebody from a 400-pound squat to a 500-pound squat.
And that principle, I don't remember where I heard it originally, but I just looked it up and I can't even see like who created it. But this is the and I'm going to equate it to this, which is 1 + 1 = 3.
Oh yeah.
And so this is the concept where it is this
Terrence Howard stuff, bro. Nice.
Well, yeah, but I think this is before, right? Like because you and I in our previous life of working together, this was a notion that we played with as well back then, which is when it comes to this type of a thing of like that type of generational move, it's you are giving something to someone and then they are receiving that. And that's our 1-to-1. But the reason why it equals 3 is that person's life that you just affected, their ability to now affect other people.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so much greater of this notion that it's like what we have done has created something new that then is going to, it gives birth to something else entirely. And this gets back to like the heart of what we always talked about of Gym Owners Revolution and this idea of being the tip of the spear. For me, very much and why dads seem to be for you and I in our niche of what we do in our own stuff with fitness is, can we make multi-generational impact within a single family do that within a single community, and can you change an entire community?
Yeah.
As men, ultimately for us, the attitudes, like for me still, is that you're the man of your fucking house. You're the king of your castle. And so it's on you. The family is going to eat like shit unless dad is like, let's fucking, like, all right, I'm on board. Mom can want to eat fucking broccoli and buy healthy shit, but if dad shits on that and is like, fuck this idea, I'm not going to do it, your kids are screwed. His kids are screwed.
Yeah.
And that's why for me, I even take it another level because I enjoy working with teenage athletes. And for me, I cannot tell you how often when I'm working with a really go-getting, teenage, like 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old male, and I'm working with him, and then I hear from the dad that now the dad's doing the workouts with him. The dad's eating healthier too because he sees what his kid's doing. It's a way for them to bond. Like you have
If
this.
your fucking teenage son is doing anything with you as a
Yep.
father at all,
Yeah.
consider that a fucking win, because they
Yeah.
don't give a shit about, they don't want you around. You're not cool anymore. You're not anything. So it's a huge win. And like, to build on what you just said, is if bad behavior, trauma behavior, abuse, neglect, negative things, those things echo throughout eternity for generations within a family, right?
Mhm.
They really do. Why is that? Why do we not believe the same thing with positive change? Like, why do we not? I just don't understand. For those of you in here, you wouldn't abuse your kids, yet you're kind of like feed them like kind of like shit all the fucking time, and you're kind of a sad, fat fucking sack of shit, like a shitty example, and you're never in a good mood, and you're always low energy, and you're not inspiring. Now you're letting that that mediocrity at best, skid through for generation to generation to generation. It's poor health. You're handing down poor health as though that's not just another form of trauma or another form of abuse. And I find that when we come in and we help a father, a husband, a wife, a mother come in and lose a bunch of weight and get healthy, that echoes through generations with this family. The kids now have a fucking chance. And that's like you said, the kids of a parent who does not give a shit about their health, their food, they don't have a fucking chance at eating healthy. They can grow up to be nice, good people, but they are starting so far back in regards to health, food habits, nutrition. They've had no example, no understanding. They'll be, ignorant isn't even the term, like naive. They're gonna have no idea how bad it really is. And so I think that they're almost like when you like put the frog in the pot and then you turn
Like
it
boiling
on.
water. Yeah.
They just don't even know until it's too late. And so making this change, these positive changes are as impactful positively as things like trauma, abuse, and negative behaviors are. Like, you can really, all the same reach that those bad behaviors have, these positive impacts have. So quit fucking around. Like, this is like, it's so that's why I came to the States. This is so important if you care. And if you don't care, please stay the fuck out of the way. That's all. You got to stay the fuck out of the way. You can be in the industry, but stay in your fucking lane. Don't you dare try to take business away from someone who gives a shit. Don't you dare try to talk bad about the coaches who are out there trying to do this. That's one thing that always sucks when you have gyms that are just fitness places for fitness people to do fitness. And they all get kind of clicky, and it's like, oh, that other place. And I was like, well, that person's people lose weight. Y'all just sitting there spinning your fucking wheels. And so stay out of the fucking way. Do the thing that you do. If you're not going to do this thing, then you better let the fucking actual grown-ups in the room who give a shit accomplish this mission. Stay the fuck out of the way. Those people can end up in your place after we've got them fit, healthy, inspired to work out and try new shit, and they don't actually have a bunch of weight to lose. And they already have good habits because they've been guided through a real process by a real professional who gives a shit about them. Gym owners that don't give a shit, coaches that don't give a shit, fuck you.
There's another analogy that I thought of it, and it gets back to the same order of things of where you talked about working with the client. I think this even gets us into another topic you and I were talking about when it came to some of the mistakes that we're seeing, like that's rampant, which is all over. It doesn't matter what the industry is. And it's the order in which to make positive change for people that are in the dark. And so this is was the analogy that I was thinking about was, they're in a dark room, and like you said, of a world of darkness, of all that negative shit and all that baggage that can exist, that can carry from one generation to the next. That room just keeps getting darker and darker. But like a tiny little candle that gets lit in the corner is quite bright inside of a dark room. And it's much easier to then have that candle and then guide somebody through that room, opposed to what some motherfuckers try to do, which is you flip on the lights all at once and it fucking blinds you. And now it's like this visceral, like, I don't, whatever the fuck that was. I hate that.
Yeah.
And some people will like stand that trauma and will like open their eyes and then will adjust. But most people will be like, that initial reaction is like, I don't want it. But your ability to then guide somebody like deeper into the light, out of the dark, if you do it the right way in the right order, you really can now get them completely out of that thing.
Yeah.
And where it equates back to is like, if you don't do those orders, you may be, well, I see all these people doing this thing over here, and I'm not going to put any other thought into it. And I'm just going to try and do what I see.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the same reaction. All of a sudden, now you're getting a visceral reaction or no reaction. And now you think everything's fucked.
Well, and there's people that need real change, and they do need a lot of change. And I think a lot of the narrower scope fitness or the fitness centers that are not focused on weight loss don't really have those products or capabilities or whatever to really be thorough in their guidance of this. I think that they just replace the person's expectations. Someone comes in and says, somebody comes in, they really want to lose a lot of weight and they are overweight. I promise you, they don't want to come in and start exercising. They don't want to. They think that that's what they have to do to come and do this. That's why every new person who comes in who has weight to lose at the global gym I train at, John, they'll spend their first 2 months on the treadmill. And most of them will then be bored with that until they fucking stop coming, because they won't see the results. They won't get the outcomes, and then they leave. And I think that's the thing that a lot of gyms do is whether you're doing group classes or even personal trainings, if somebody comes in, I want to lose some weight, or maybe they don't even admit that they want to lose some weight. Like
they're not going to admit it.
Yeah. And it's like, but that's your job. What are you here to accomplish? And that's why, again, all of our processes that we taught to teach in the Gear Academy, everything that will help you install within your business is about that. Let's get them like, what is your fucking real mission here? What's their mission? What's your mission? What can you help them do? Because if you let somebody come in and tell you like, oh, I just really kind of like want to do your like one little fitness class. It's like, okay, 200 pounds overweight. Like, is that what you want? You just want to do this class? Like, there's no fitness class that's fucking fun. None that's that fun. So like, oh, you want to lose weight? Well, let's work on that. With this is one of the tools that we use with my fun little fitness class. But most gym owners don't have that. They go, oh, perfect. You're going to join my fun little fitness thing and I'll sell it
For
to
a
you.
year.
Yes, got it. Close them. So, and it sucks and it doesn't work. And so let's jump to the next thing though here, John. Now we're going to touch on a couple of things. We got time. So I've been coming through these like viral content marketing strategies from a lot of different industries. And so you're going to start to see everything on the internet. It's everybody imitating whatever currently works. And that's even worse. They're actually imitating what worked 6 to 9 to 10, 9 to 12 months ago, usually. Everybody all of a sudden was doing, your typical like Hormozy type fucking, not about any of the products he sells, right? He was, for a long stretch, he was making those kind of very like cringe videos that were just like, look at my fucking Hummer, my rich car. And then it was like, it was borderline. I'm doing like billionaire. When the Andrew Tate stuff was just popping, he was like, I'm as much of a billionaire as that type of bullshit. It was like swag riding shit. And then it became business wizard stuff peppered in. And then it was fitness stuff. A guy who's accomplished literally nothing in fitness short of just taking steroids and lying about it until recently. And then you get to the point like, they're just making these fucking fluff reels, right? And then it became cooking. Now you're a fucking expert on how we should be eating. And for what? Because you're rich. I don't understand it. But that model, John, and we were in some business coaching circles as well. We were very much encouraged to make exactly that type of content.
Because the goal was virality.
The goal was virality. That's it. And now we see a ton of this. I see a lot of this in the martial arts space, specifically jiu-jitsu, because that market continues to grow, and the audience grows and the end users grow. So there's more people consuming this, but these are all done. It's important that you notice this. These are all done by brands that are not selling to people in their town. Know that. Like they do, these guys own gyms. These guys are black belts. These guys, some of these guys have been world champions, and then they're making reels and TikToks that you can tell they're all filming in like one day, and they all use the same agency, by the way, because many of them I've seen after they build their following by 50,000 new followers in the last 90 days, and they bring on the guy, and then he uses it for his stuff. And but all they're doing is sitting down and filming a bunch of shit, batching a bunch of shit together, and it's like, what's your favorite choke here? Look at this position here. And then it turns into then commenting on just other shit that is viral. So now you start seeing they've all tapped themselves out after like a year of like what I would describe as like phase one, which is just kind of offering wide variety of entertainment stuff, just very consumable content for people that's in the concept. So can be inside baseball. It's not attracting new people to jiu-jitsu, I'll tell you that. But with the global market of people that are watching jiu-jitsu content, it catches because you can see it. That's how I find these accounts and I follow them. But the thing is, these people are then selling instructionals and larger fucking seminars and retreats and all this other stuff because they've built a global brand and they already own schools, and those schools already make money. That I can tell you this, if you own a jiu-jitsu school or even a gym and you want to use this like viral marketing strategy for your gym, you can do it. And I don't mind it as a part of your long game, but just know you are so far away from that meaning anything to anybody in your area at all. Massonomics Gym is in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Massonomics has a massive following in the powerlifting space. There is, I would be willing to bet, hundreds of thousands of people that would cut off their pinky to come and train at Massonomics Gym if they could ever make it here. It's like Mecca for some of these guys. Anytime they can, that's why we have people that this place is a destination for meatheads in the summer, and they all can't wait to come see the gym and the event and the guys. It's great. Nobody in town fucking even knows about it or gives a shit. I mean, there's some people there that go there, but it's not like people are beating down the door to go there. And so you have to understand that you can spend, like those guys have 10 years producing thousands of hours of content, tens of thousands of pieces of social media content alone, memes, images, all this stuff, plus making tons and tons and tons of products and selling them. It's still in this area if they tried to fill that gym with people enough to make it profitable, and you'd eat your hat. Mm-hmm. So you just don't, like, again, there's value in those concepts because some of it can be attractive to your local people, but just know that the juice isn't necessarily worth the squeeze.
Well, and this is the same stuff. So you all see it. So as gym owners and personal trainers, as long as the algorithm knows that's what you are, right? Like my wife has taught the algorithm, she only cares about Basset Hound puppies and cats.
Nice.
So she's got nothing else. It's awesome. Outside of it, hearing what we say every once in a while, she's only has an entire algorithm dedicated to Basset Hound puppies.
Nice.
And it's great. It's like, all right, I can handle that. But most of you aren't going to do that. So you're going to get a whole bunch of fitness shit all the time. So you're going to see it. And this is the warning, right? What you're talking about, which is like these ideas of like, well, technique, right? You probably have heard of Squat University. You've probably seen accounts that look just like that, which is a whole bunch of technique stuff. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is how you move your scapula to be able to better connect with your like it's all that stuff. And then you'll see where they'll take a controversial take on some bullshit or whatever that's specific, like you said, all inside baseball. So you guys see all this. The mistake is that if you don't have, like you said, Tyler, if you don't have a 50,000 person following, if you don't have this massive following to then leverage those viral eyes to then sell a digital product, I don't want you to make any of these things.
No,
like I'll make under like this, and this is the mistake. Like this is what Kyle, you've called this out for years, but this idea of like these large brands, these gyms that you know that are really large names in the space, whether it's CrossFit space or anything else, they're not making their money from their gym. That's your Massonomics example as well. So realize that if you are still trying to make the lion's share of how you feed yourself and feed your family and be successful in your local community, if your gym is the thing, none of these things are going to replace it because they already were experts.
Yeah.
These people have already established, right? Joe Rogan doesn't become fucking Joe Rogan because he starts a podcast.
Yeah, Joe Rogan didn't start his podcast. I mean, he started his podcast in a little room in the back with a laptop on what actually I think was the predecessor to it was called Justin.tv, which I'm going to look this up because this is funny. It was a predecessor to an app that I think it came like Vine. I got to find it. Twitch, that initially became Twitch, was rebranded in 2014, but Justin TV has been around like since. Anyway, that was one of the first times I remember that Rogan was called Justin TV. Now that's big platform, right? But he didn't start that in his garage as a nobody and build it to this. He started it when he had been a stand-up comedian for still over a decade. He had already done Fear Factor and was doing Fear Factor and was making, what did you say the other day, like $25,000 a week on fucking news radio. So
are you there yet?
Are you there yet?
You're
You
there.
got all those accolades like that. You can then leverage this to start building. That doesn't mean give up hope and all this stuff. But what I'm trying to get at with this too is that when I see gyms and coaches take this approach, I think two things. One, you're trying to make all this viral content because that's what you see and you see it works and it gets the eyes and you think you know some things. So you think that'll appeal to your people in your community, in your town, make you think, make them think that you're an expert. So then they'll want to do business with you because that's what works for you. You'll see videos from Squat University and you'll like the minutia and all the fucking nerdy shit about it. And you'll go, oh, sweet. Well, I know some things about the squat. Let me make some of those. Well, people in your town don't give a shit. But when I see gym owners that want to do that stuff and coaches that start making this content about how much of a expert that they are and trying to do this, like, I don't even like you said, just like the technique shit and the details of like teaching people about the anatomy is a perfect fucking lead generator for your local brick and mortar business. But when I see gym owners that get into trying to make this viral content, I see a gym owner that actually doesn't care about their gym. It's a gym owner who actually wants to be a guru, a famous influencer. When I see gym owners and coaches push this types of content, they want to create viral content. They want to be super informative to a global audience. It's okay, but I know, I can see it in your eyes. You wish you were that, not a gym owner, not a coach. You don't want to be successful coaching, or you failed. Most of them have failed to be successful as coaches, and they failed to attract people to their gym. So they turn to just the internet and say, I'm an expert. Let's hope that with the vast amount of reach that I have that the internet gives me potential reach for, that I can fucking hopefully attract some people. Again, then they'll get these fucking like shitty, there's nothing worse than soft gym math is soft internet math, which is like, well, what if I have an online course that I sell for $20 a month? And if I get 100 people, that's $2,000 a month. And for some of these schmucks, it's more money than they take home out of their fucking fitness business that they own, that's surrounded by people who need their fucking help. And instead they're yelling into the void on the internet, trying to become some fitness guru or wise fucking technical wizard while they have no results from their clients to hang their fucking hat on. It sucks. It's lame. And you're alienating the people in your area because you seem stuffy and stupid and you're talking over their fucking head. You think it makes you sound smart. It makes you look dumb. It's like, it's dumb as hell, dude. I don't give a fuck about it. I know a lot about those things. And when I see coaches who own those businesses talk like that, I go, what a fucking idiot. No person coming into their gym who's thinking about joining their gym cares how much you know about the shoulder. No one gives a fuck. Nobody cares. And I want you, by the way, you want to become Squat University? That's what this usually turns into. It's like, okay, then go for it, bud. But that guy also accomplished nothing physically impressive and looks pretty average and doesn't do anything particularly strong. So most of the coaches that seek the viral stuff already have those boxes checked. The difference is this guy's got fucking like a 10-year degree and has been practicing in his field and does now start to have some at least like real world stuff, has used that reach to have impact with specific people within a very specific niche, but you don't have that. So if you care about being a gym owner, this is not the strategy. When I see gym owners do this stuff, I know they're about it, just like we talked about in the beginning of the podcast. They're at that phase where they realize they can't do this and they're not good at this. Not only that, they don't like this and they don't like their clients and they don't like the people they work with. They don't like the types of things they coach. It's not going the way they thought it was going to go. So what do? They still kind of stay in this platform and they kind of half pivot and they half-ass do the other thing, which means they're actually doing neither thing. And then you're in this gym owner's limbo where you're half-ass trying to become a global influencer, but you don't got the juice to make that happen. And you've already essentially failed. If you're at this point, you've already failed as a gym owner because you now are not trying to be successful as a gym owner. The moment you're not trying to be successful in anything, you will not be successful at it. You're not going to be successful in weight loss with zero effort towards weight loss, right? You're not going to be successful as a gym owner if you're just trying to fucking talk to people from a million miles away while you neglect everybody in your fucking general vicinity.
And we're not talking out of our ass because I can't tell you how often that we sit with a gym owner and we say, have you ever do you sell nutrition to your clients? And they go, well, no. Well, we've tried before, but it was unsuccessful. And we just ask like 2 more questions. Well, what did you do? How hard did you try? Well, I mean, like not that hard.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well then you haven't actually
like,
attempted to do this then.
I was like, tell me what that product is. Well, it's nutrition coaching. Okay.
Go on.
Elaborate. Oh, so if anyone ever asked you, you fucking can't sell it no matter what either. Like you can't even get past the first thing. So these idiots just post one thing that says nutrition coaching. By the way, I'll give you a little tip. I'll give you one little actionable here instead of us just ripping on stuff we think sucks, right? Use the word diet in your posts about nutrition coaching. Use the term diet. Say diet is more important. Don't always say nutrition. You can use both of those words, but I promise you, every person, you don't have to get them on a diet, but you can say your diet matters. Diet means the same thing as the term that us hoity-toity coaches use as nutrition. The average person does not think, I need to work on my nutrition. No, they don't. My diet sucks. I eat like shit. Like, just use the fucking words that these fucking people use. I said this a couple of years ago, and by the way, the recent posts I make about diet, like literally using that term, guess what shakes up? Diet. People fucking, because it connects better. If I talk about nutrition coaching, it's just the same thing when people, John, we ran into this shit with a bunch of fucking pretend to be autistic fucking dorks about fitness, is they would start to talk about, you got to train for your nervous system. This term nervous system was getting thrown around all the time by people that they couldn't even probably define for you what the nervous system is, what it means, or even what they're fucking implying about it. But they start throwing that term around because they thought it made them sound smart. And then it's like, I swear to God, if I'm an average person looking to join a gym or hire a personal trainer and he starts talking about nervous system, he's like, motherfucker, I got 50 pounds to lose. Fuck you, dude. You're trying to tell me you're smart? I would rather have somebody literally with like a degree on the wall, diploma on the wall behind them that just says this guy's smart than have to listen to them talk to me about how smart they are. It sucks. Just put aside, save all the guru shit you want to talk about if you're a coach. Trust me, your clients don't give a fuck. You want to talk about it on social media? Trust me, the people that are able to go to your local place and hire you and do business with you don't give a fuck. Just put a sign up on the wall behind you that says, I'm a smart guy. Leave it at that. You'll save everybody the time. They'll know you're a smart guy. They'll know you know it. And then they're not going to have to waste a bunch of time listening to you talk about other things, just trying to project out there that you're smart. Nobody fucking cares.
And we talk shit because we want you to avoid, because you're thinking about, we took you all from like, I'm beginning to think about it. I want to jump into this thing. I want to be able to make that leap. I have the stimulus. I want to do all this stuff. We want you to avoid running into the situation where then you've opened your gym. You don't get more than 15 clients. You top out at 30 maybe. And then you decide that probably I'll be better off just having a personal training studio. Yeah. And then you scale it back. And you can avoid those things. Like you can avoid, it's either you learn it, you got the easy way, or you got the hard way.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of you, like you're determined to just learn it and learn it yourself. And that's more than fine. But take any of these things and always test it. Because it'll sound like we're talking a lot of shit, because we are, but it is always based off things that we've literally already done. So you can take this, everything we've talked about, especially on this, like the virality piece, is if you're trying to play that game and you've been stuck in that game and you feel a little offended by us calling it out for what it is, go test yourself. Oh, yeah, you go fuck yourself, okay. But go test it. Go test it yourself. Go test it. You go make it. You make your next one. And then I want you to make another post talking about how excited you are for the latest coach you just hired. Yep. And you make that post. and I want you to tell me how many comments and how many interactions you get from your local population of
Local
when you just
population.
announced.
Yep.
Yeah.
People who could pay you
Pay you money.
$1,000 to $5,000 this year.
Mhm.
None of you motherfuckers going to make that from any of the bullshit you're trying to pivot to. And we talked about this yesterday, John. We'll touch on this real quick before we go. You got time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is that like, I see this in the jujitsu space a lot now because I believe that industry to be about 10 to 15 years behind fitness. Everything happened around the time CrossFit started popping off, which was like everybody attached to it because there's this massive influx of new people thirsty to learn, and there's not a very wide content base for it. And social media was just new. What does everybody start doing? Everyone who gets any sort of following pivots into the, like you use this term, the knowledge economy.
Mhm.
They start hustling instructionals and online courses and seminars, right? And fucking webinars and all this bullshit, all this fake business shit, right? And that's great. There's value in it when people have interest. But what happens is then there's a second stage to this, because there's a first stage when people who are actually experts, this product pops off and you go, oh, damn, this guy's really good. Like, I'd like to hear what he has to say about it. And off it goes. Now that person can have a career in this knowledge economy because hopefully they've spent some actual time being successful at the things they're talking about, and they have the experience. Now, you and I ran into a couple schmucks who were not even successful in the space at all with any of the things that they were talking about, had no client successes to speak of, no nothing. And they just kind of popped off on an audience thing and were just making shit up the whole time that they fucking go, just making it work until it all dries up and the bottom drops out.
Right.
That's pretty fucking common when you don't have the juice to back it up. You don't have the moves to back it up. What normally happens here, like in the jujitsu space now, is when you're seeing like seminars and instructionals and stuff like that being productive, which is why those types of marketing strategies are used. These are people that are world champions that have 500,000 followers, 250,000 followers, fucking 400,000 followers. These are people that are black belts, people that have been training for 15, 20 years, that are world champs, competitors, MMA fighters, commentators. They also, many of them own gyms, have built successful schools, have coached hundreds of people through this progression through many, many years. They've already done the work. They have an actual business and structure in place because, like we talked about, the 4 to 5 years before you pivot, they didn't pivot. They kept going and going and going and going. And then the whole tide rose to the point where the world was seeking experts in this thing. Experts in this thing are now valuable. Well, good. You took this time to actually become a real expert. Now what happens, John, is I see a lot of people in this space who aren't experts. And this is what a term did I use to describe? This is like late stage end of empire shit, right? It's like the fall of all things is when a society stops actually doing things that matter on the ground and everybody starts meddling in this knowledge economy.
Mhm.
Meddle in this knowledge economy. You want to be a guru. You want to sell your little seminars and your little fucking online courses and all your little bullshit, while you're neglecting every single person in your local area who actually is a real human being in front of you who needs your help. And you're just milking money from the same 15, 20 dweebs who would just do anything you say while you have almost no real impact on their fitness or life. You're just a leech, right? And a leech that's running out of blood to suck. And that is when I see gyms neglect their people, their actual gym owners neglect all of the potential impact they can have in their area and just hope that they could pivot to becoming a fucking guru, some online wizard or an influencer. Like, it sucks, dude. Just take your clothes off and go on OnlyFans because you're doing the same shit. Like, you're not any good at that either. Like, it doesn't matter. You're just being thirsty. It's not going to work. There's probably more people interested in seeing you naked than there is fucking in any of this other shit you're talking about. So, I don't know, get with the program or go fuck yourself. That tends to be I don't know, at some point we're gonna get like nice, wholesome people that listen to this podcast, and they're gonna be like, just these guys really cuss a lot and they suck and everything ends in fuck off. But
It's our cross to bear.
yeah, I guess if you don't like it, if that keeps you
It's-
away, I'm sorry. Sorry. There will be a day. I'll tell you this. You can't say I'm not being honest.
But I will tell you, if you want to put one positive thing. So in the durable trades book, one of the durable trades that have existed for over 200 years, right, that they talk about,
Selling online courses to people about how to make money selling online courses. Please tell me this is a timeless career.
timeless. No, coaching.
Anyway, join my school with a K.
Being-
School where we
being
can't
school.
spell. Fucking losers.
No, being a teacher and being a coach.
Yeah.
Those are two things that stand, and the guy gives all these different like pieces of why he says it is, but they stand the test of time. You just have to love what you're doing.
Yep.
And if you love it, then stay in it, stay in that thing and avoid the distractions. That shiny object syndrome gets so strong. You see other things happening. And instead of saying, I need to do that right now, it's put it on the board, right? Like put it on the shelf. Say, like, I can't wait to get here. So then I can follow that path. I like the way that looks. It's be a dude about it, right?
Yeah.
Chicks, the joke always was, right? Like girls see their girlfriend's boyfriend or their girlfriend's husband and say, I want him. I want that guy.
Yep.
And then they'll go after that guy and then they're going to be a cunt about it. And they're going to go steal the girl's boy, right? Steal his man, right? Where dudes be like, I want a chick like that. When your
Correct.
boy has got a real one. You're like, hell yeah. Like I can't wait to get somebody like that can be my person like that. That's how you got to view this, view these things and being like, that's really cool.
How do I get my version of this?
And that's it. And make my version of it and let those things be inspirational. Because this is the other thing that's gnarly about those statistics is that it's in the next 10 years from right now, from 2024, it's all the jobs, all the things that are being crazy successful. And there's kind of these knowledge economy, white collar type jobs. They will literally cease to fucking exist. They won't even be around anymore. And you're a coach who knows shit. And as long as you continue to know shit and continue to work that craft, nobody gets to take that from you.
Correct.
And the one thing that's nice, if you live in America, people are going to keep getting fatter.
Yep.
They're not getting healthier.
Yeah.
So I would hedge your bets. There's your positive part.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
And I won't say anything to ruin it. Bye. We love you guys. Make sure you follow the show at the Gym Owners Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Tyler F. Stone. That's Tyler EFF. I and Stone. How can they get a hold of you, John?
You can follow me on Instagram at jbanksfl.
If you want us to help you make your business kick ass and do actual real shit with the people in your area, make real fucking money, helping real people get real results, shoot us a message either on Instagram or on our business email at thedudes@hackyourgym.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.